The NBA, folks, the NBA is having a serious problem right now in regards to tanking. And I don't know, if you don't do something about this right now, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Like, are you kidding me right now? We've talked so much about NBA ratings going down, people not showing up to the games as much as they used to. I know that's how it is at Scotiabank Arena. It looks a hell of a lot more empty in there than it typically does. Why? Because there's a whole bunch of people that aren't in the damn lineup. Of course that's what it's going to be. Seriously, I mean, listen to these. I mean, Toronto, okay, abysmal. Philadelphia 76ers, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Washington. Nobody wants to watch any of those teams. Like, are you kidding me? Who wants to watch any of them? No offense. I'm just talking. This season, Phoenix, nobody even wants to watch Phoenix, for God's sakes. They got Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant, and people don't want to watch him. The Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio, New Orleans, Utah. At this point in the season, people just don't want to watch those teams anymore. And I'm not saying they don't have good talent, because these teams do have some really good individual pieces. They're just not very good right now because a lot of the guys are out of the lineup as well, right? When you look at Utah was just mentioned and got fined when Shams Charania mentioned that the NBA was investigating for not playing Markkanen. And then the Raptors got called out on ESPN because they're saying, wow, what an injury that Brandon Ingram has with this sprained ankle. It's been a very long time since we've seen him play. Why the hell would you play him now? I mean, what is the point? San Antonio, everybody's gone from there. At least the guys that you want to see. Portland, ain't nobody watching them. Washington, God no. Charlotte, Lord have mercy. Brooklyn, no. Philadelphia, they got called out as well. Shams Charania, NBA was investigating them. And there was another team. I think Oklahoma City, I mean, who cares? They're going to be the number one finishing team in the NBA. Between them and Cleveland, at least. But what I'm saying is, there's a terrible problem right now in regards to tanking. And the question is, how do you fix that? How do you fix it? Going forward, this cannot continue with the NBA. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And at some point, we have to not reward teams for tanking and going into games to lose on purpose. We just can't do that. And so the NBA needs to find a way to fix this. My proposal would be this. Right now, okay, so let me explain some things to people who don't really understand this. So the teams eligible for the draft lottery are the 14 teams that miss out with being in the playoffs, okay? The final odds will be determined after the regular season is completed and after tiebreakers are settled between teams with identical regular season records, okay? Now, each team will be assigned the following odds for teams starting with the reverse order of regular season record. The default odds are as follows. 1, 2, and 3. So the three worst teams, 14%. After that, it goes to 12.5% for the fourth team. The fifth team, 10.5%. Then it drops to 9, 7.5%, 6%. So the better team that you are when you're not in the playoffs, your percentage, your lottery percentage of getting the top pick lowers. Okay? So let's say you're going to the playoffs, right? 8 teams make the playoffs. So now if you're 9th or 10th or 11th, your odds are lower than getting the number one pick compared to if you're Washington, who's 15th in the East, or Charlotte, who's 14th in the East, or if you're Utah, who's 15th in the West, or the Pelicans, who are 18th in the West, if you understand, where I'm going with this. What they need to do in the NBA is flip that, in my opinion. So to get teams to stop tanking, and to get them to continually play hard, what the NBA needs to do, in my opinion, is the best team to not make the playoffs has the highest odds of getting the number one pick? Let me repeat that. The best teams out of the 14 teams that don't make the playoffs get the highest percentage to get the number one pick. That way, it ensures that even though they might be out of the playoff race, these teams are still going to go at each other's necks to be the best team outside of the playoffs so that they can get a way to improve their percentage to land the number one pick. So, for example, as of right now, let's just say that the standings that are in right now stay the same, right? And I'll give it to you right here. Cleveland, Boston, New York, Milwaukee, Indiana, Detroit, Atlanta, and Orlando. Let's say those teams right now are the lock to get into the playoffs. The best teams in the East after that are Miami, Chicago, and Toronto. Those would be your three teams, okay, from the East that would have the best percentage to get the number one pick. And on the other side, you have Oklahoma City, Houston, Denver, Memphis, LA, Golden State, Minnesota, and the LA Clippers. And then after that, it would be Sacramento, Dallas, and Phoenix. So Sacramento and Dallas have 33 wins. Miami and Chicago have 29 and 28 wins. So Sacramento, Dallas, and Miami would have the highest percentages to get the number one pick. That way, the incentive is that you're still going to be going at each other because you want the odds to get a best player to add to your team. And those teams who refuse, or not refuse, but damn it, who are terrible at upgrading their roster and upgrading their scouts and their GM, and who are not doing a better job. The Washington has been bad for so long. Charlotte has been bad for a very long time. Like, why are we rewarding those teams with the number one pick for them being ass? Why? Why are we doing that? That shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen anymore at this point. And teams just should not be rewarded for tanking. And when you do it this method, teams would keep their guys in the lineup because they're going to want to win as many games as possible. How unfair is it to the average NBA fan when you pay a premium on these tickets from months before the game is even here? And then by the time you end up at that game, Joel Embiid is not there, which is kind of understandable because he never really plays. But then Tyrese Maxey ain't there. Paul George ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Like this is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And how long is this going to continue for? The NBA has to do something, and I think people should look at this method and say, you know what? Maybe Mike has a point there. And I wasn't the one who came up with this. I actually saw this on X. And I mean, obviously in 120 characters. And I'm elaborating on it, but I do think it's a very good idea. So if you're watching this, leave in the comments what you think. Let me know if you think this will work. Let me know if you if it wouldn't work in your opinion. I mean, obviously it's an idea, right? Like, I'm just trying to figure something out. So this is one of the things that I was thinking of could work. But if you don't think it'll work, leave in the comments why you don't think it'll work. Leave in the comments why you do think it would work. Maybe some of it would work and you can tweak it. But at least let me know what your thoughts are. And I can touch on it again at some point. Maybe if I bring on a guest and speak to somebody about it. But the NBA has to do something. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to the fans that they got to pay these high-ass ticket prices and then come to the games, and a lot of the guys are not in the lineup that we all want to see.